Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today is in story time with Mariam. We are going to read a story, Viking Adventure from Oxford Reading Tree. Let's start it. Wilf and Wilma came to the door. It was time to go to school. Kipper told everyone about his adventure at the teddy bear's picnic, but nobody believed him. Biff, Chip, and Wilf were in Mr. Johnson's class. The children liked Mr. Johnson. He made everything interesting and he told lots of good stories. Mr. Johnson had a model ship. Can you tell me what sort of ship this is? He asked. Wilf put up his hand. It's a Viking ship, he said. Well done, Wilf, said Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson showed the children a picture of the Viking ship. This ship was called a long ship. It had oars and a sail, and it moved very fast through the water. The Vikings lived a long time ago. They crossed the sea in ships like this, said Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson showed the children a Viking helmet and a Viking shield. Mr. Johnson helped the children with the Viking project. It was very interesting. They made model longships and they made Viking shields and Viking helmets. Mr. Johnson took the children into the school hall. They made a big long ship. Then they all dressed up as Vikings and pretended to row it. It's hard work being a Viking, said Biff. The children came home from school. They looked at the magic key. They wanted it to glow because it had not glowed for a long time. Kipper told them about his magic adventure, but still nobody believed him. Kipper was upset. The magic key glowed in the night. It glowed when it's dark. It did, he said. Biff looked at the key. I wonder, she said. Biff had a good idea. Maybe the key will glow in the dark, she said. She got a torch and then she found a big, thick blanket. The children sat on the floor and they pulled the blanket over themselves. It was dark under the blanket. Suddenly, the key began to glow. The magic was working after all. I told you so, said Kipper. There was no wind. The Vikings rowed the longship across the sea. Every man pulled on the oars. It was hard work being a Viking. Suddenly the wind began to blow. Hooray! Said the Vikings. Now we can put up the sail. The wind can blow up the ship along and we won't have to work so hard. One of the Vikings heard a noise. He went to look. He found the children. Oh no, we are on a Viking longship. I don't believe it, said Phil. The Vikings jumped back. He could not believe it either. He looked very fierce. Oh dear, he doesn't look pleased to see us, said Kipper. The Vikings pushed the children to the back of the long ship. Look at all these animals. I don't like it here. It smells, said Kipper. The wind began to blow harder. The Vikings put up the sail. The wind blew harder and the ship tossed up and down. The waves splashed over the children. They got cold and wet. Kipper began to feel sick. It's not so much fun on a long ship, he said. At last the long ship landed. Hooray! Shouted the Vikings. They jumped into the water and carried boxes and barrels to the shore. The children looked over the side of the long ship. I hope we don't have to jump in. It looks cold and wet, said Kipper. You don't have to jump in. I will throw you in, said the Viking. The children waded to the shore. The villagers were amazed. They had never seen children like these before. Kipper had some sweets. He shared them with the Viking children. They had never seen sweets before. They did not know what to do with them. The Vikings took the children into a long hall. A fire was burning in the middle of the floor. There was smoke everywhere. It began to get dark, and soon it was time to have some food. So this is what Vikings eat, said Wilf. As soon as it was dark, a long ship sailed close to the shore. On the long ship were some Viking raiders. They were going to attack the village. One of the villagers saw the long ship and ran into the long hall. Help! Help! He called. Raiders are landing! The raiders looked very fierce. They ran towards the village. They are going to attack! What can we do? Said Will. I wish the magic key would glow, said Kipper. Biff had an idea. She shone her torch. The raiders and the villagers had never seen a light like this before. They were frightened and they all fell to the ground. The raiders ran back to their long ship and sailed away. Hooray! They won't come back here in hurry, said the villagers. The Vikings looked at Biff's torch. This is a magic thing, they said. It frightened us, but it frightened the raiders even more, and it saved our village. The villagers lit a big fire on the beach. They had a party for children. They gave Biff a shield. Thank you. It's beautiful, said Biff. Biff wanted to give the torch to the Vikings, but Wilf told her not to. The magic key began to glow. It was time for an adventure to end. Biff showed the Viking shield to Mr. Johnson. It's very good, but Viking shields didn't look like this, said Mr. Johnson. Biff looked at Wilf and smiled. And that's the end. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe my channel and press the like button. Bye bye.